One thing I've recently learned is you cannot hold anybody accountable. You cannot hold anybody accountable because you have your own standards, you have your own way of looking at things. And even if you have a twin brother or twin sister, or you grew up in a house with somebody, that doesn't mean you share the same ideas and you share the same viewpoints. Not everybody is gonna view what you perceive as bad. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes we can open up our phones and be like, "Oh wow, I wouldn't have said this. I wouldn't have made this type of video. I wouldn't have did this. I wouldn't have did that." But you only say you wouldn't have done what another person has done because you haven't experienced the things that they have experienced. You know what I'm saying, down to the T. And even if you have, we have this thing called free will. And with this free will, we all choose how we want our life to be and the beliefs that we carry with us daily, that make up our personality, right? So I just say that to say you cannot shame somebody into being how you want them to be. You cannot be angry at somebody into changing them for the better in your eyes. You know what I'm saying? And when I realized that, I stopped arguing. I stopped trying to prove my point. I stopped having very emotional debates with my friends and close family. I don't do that anymore, and I for sure I'm not gonna do it online in comments no more. That's something I used to do too. But I stopped all that. I stopped trying to prove things. I stopped trying to even understand why. Because at a certain point, I was like, okay, what is this helping? How is me opposing this person's view adamantly? How is that helping, or how is that? What am I creating with that? And when I really looked at it, I zoomed out and was like, okay, what was I creating? I'm creating stress. I'm creating high tension for no reason, just because I don't agree with somebody else's personality and their mental makeup. And to even take it a step further, I don't even think we should want to hold anybody accountable, because if everybody in the world had the same way of thinking, had the same morals, had the same mental standards, had the same living standards, life would be so boring. Like, I don't think a lot of people know what free will actually is. Like, I was just talking to my homie about this very thing, this very topic the other day. Free will is the ability to do exactly whatever you want, focus exactly on whatever you want. And stay with me. If you have the power and the ability to put your attention on anything, why would you put it on something you deem as negative, right? Because the more you focus on what you perceive to be negative, the more upset you're going to be. Why would you willingly choose to be upset, right? Why? I'm not choosing to be upset. I'm not waking up, and even if somebody comes at me that's angry. I just had that happen a couple days ago too. Somebody that was angry, and I specifically told them I don't want to add fuel to this fire. So I'm not gonna add fuel to this fire. I'm gonna add presence. And presence allows me to add space to wherever I'm at, so I can zoom out and be like, is this the option I really want to choose? Before I click back in the autopilot mode, which is so easy for all of us to do, let me click back in the manual mode and let me look at the fork in the road that I am at right now. Okay. Do you want to go down the path that you've been down all the time that leads to just anger and upsetness and frustration? Or would you rather choose the other path, the less walk path, that is filled with peace and serenity and calmness, and really takes the fuel away from the fire? I was telling somebody the other day that it takes two to tango, and it also takes two to argue. And and the anger and the heat and the flames of that are generated by two people arguing will die down if the other person chooses to opt out of it. There are only two options to go from when you hit that point. The other person can keep arguing until they keep the fire burning on their own accord without the other person's help, or the other person creating space for another option, for another emotion, calms everything down back to normal. If you ask me, a lot of crash out culture is the direct result of that. The problems that we make so big, it's like if we just take a step back and be like, This ain't worth it. And I'm choosing to not give my energy to this thing. One very important thing I've learned about self-help is it's for self. You can't help anybody else on their path. And I wouldn't even try unless they're directly asking for it. And even if they're asking for it, I'll give suggestions, but I don't want to give a whole rubric of how I did it because this is how I did it. And if I did do that, I would be looking down upon them from my pedestal. Be like, oh, you got to do this to be like me. But it's like, no, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be like you. However you deem yourself to be, it is fine. And you are perfect how you are already, family. You feel me? You find how you are. I don't want to change you. I don't want to do any of that. And a part of me not trying to hold anybody accountable is that. I don't want to argue in no comments. I don't want to argue in real life. If you believe something that I don't believe in, everything is cool. We are all fine. We are all okay, bro. We are all in this existence separately and together at the same time, you know? And I just want to emphasize that point as much as I can in these videos.